Today on the Better Movie Guy talks about music and movies and hidden gems and all those things together. Brought to you by the Bearded Movie Guy. Hi, I'm the Bearded Movie Guy, and today I'm talking about some hidden gems that deal with music. Everybody loves music. Some of it I wouldn't call music, but we all love music. And today we're going to look at 3 movies that deal specifically with music and the making of music and how it's affected people. These are all movies you might not have heard of. Some of them you might have, but who knows? I don't know what you do in your spare time. You might sit there and read magazines all day about movies and music. But you probably don't. So here's some ones that you might not know about. Starting off, we're going to look at a movie called Sound City. Sound City is about a recording studio in Los Angeles. This recording studio has this mega giant, super awesome, cool looking, complicated board. I'll let them talk about it. Hold on.
This guy, Rupert Neve, designed these next generation consoles.
There's only 4 like this in the world.
There's something about the Neve sound.
It's a pretty badass console.
When you came to work at Sound City, it was a tape-based studio. You knew what you were getting.
Sound City was a place where real men went to make records.
So yeah, there were only 4 of those things ever made. And this studio had one, and it was in this little part in the seedy part of LA that was all industrial, and lots and lots of people made records there.
Walking down the hallway and seeing all of those platinum records on the wall, that's what I'm talking about.
Tom Petty.
Fleetwood Mac.
Neil Young, man.
Cheap Trick.
Chili Peppers.
Pat Benatar. Guns N' Roses.
Nine Inch Nails.
Foreigner. Rat.
Johnny Cash.
Metallica.
Dude, how many music albums have been made there?
We chose Sound City because Nevermind was recorded there.
Dave Grohl was the drummer for Nirvana, and he then became the lead singer and guitarist for Foo Fighters. They made a couple records there, and he loves this place so much, and he loved the board so much that when they sold it, he bought it and put it in his studio, which I'm pretty sure is in his garage, which is pretty darn cool. This movie's all about this place and how this one studio brought all these people to Los Angeles just to play at this one place with this magical, giant, weird, trippy, scary looking board.
In this age of technology, where you can manipulate anything, how do we retain that human element?
Let's rock, let's play, let's record.
Be true to yourself and make the music that you love.
Chemistry is something that happens between people.
The conversation became something much bigger. How do we keep music to sound like people?
It sort of like evolves until it hits this point and maybe goes zoom.
It's Dave Grohl's first movie that he ever directed, and he did a really good job. It gives you an idea of the history of the place and why it was so important to him that he keep the board when it was going to be just sold off. I give it 4 beards out of 5. You should definitely check it out if you get a chance. Next up, Muscle Shoals. It's not actually about mussels. Muscle Shoals is a small place in Alabama.
Alabama!
Where they created a music studio in the 60s, and it became one of the biggest studios for musicians to go to for hits. In
Alabama!
Of all places. And surprisingly, it was a lot of white dudes that were playing the music.
Those guys that sit there in that studio, they just find the groove.
It doesn't happen very often. It's usually somebody like Rick Hall with the drive and the foresight to do it.
I wanted to be special. I wanted to be somebody.
I remember when Paul Simon called Stax Records, talked to Al Bell, and said, hey man, I want those same black players that played on I'll Take You There. He said, that can happen, but these guys are mighty pale.
This documentary is really good. It kind of looks at the soul of a place and how there's music for some reason in Muscle Shoals, by the river, there is music just in the landscape somehow. They describe it, and you can kind of see it as they talk about it, and how it has a pulse. They've tapped into that for making music. It's a well-made documentary. You get lots of interviews from lots of famous musicians, and when they start playing some of the songs that were recorded in this place,
We started to explode. The world was coming to Muscle Shoals.
You thought you hadn't found a good girl. Mustang Sally. I'd rather be old man, sweetheart.
being there does inspire you to do it slightly differently.
It's like when they're coming out, stop, boom.
It was pretty funky, you know, that was the whole idea of it.
It's iconic. There's something, when a man loves a woman, that was done there by a guy who was an orderly at a hospital. Never would have happened if it wasn't for this little place. It's well made and keeps up a good pace. You get lots of interviews and lots of good footage of lots of famous people when they're younger. Must see for music fans. Check it out. I give it 4.5 beards out of 5. Lastly, we all have parents. You have a parent. I have 2 parents. They're wonderful people. Now imagine someone told you your dad was bigger than Elvis. Now, if you're young and watching this and you're like, who's Elvis? Number one, read some books or type Elvis into the internet. You may have heard of him. But pick someone that you think is super big famous in music right now. And don't say Justin Bieber, because that, just don't. But just imagine your dad is bigger than that person in South Africa. I give you Searching for Sugarman. So yeah, South Africa was really closed off. They weren't allowed to have free anything, I guess. They basically, everything was regulated and stuff got smuggled in. So what happened was this guy named Rodrigo, or Rodriguez, or however they want to say it, was kind of like a Bob Dylan type in America. Had 2 albums that went nowhere, but his stuff got taken into South Africa and became the songs of the people. Everyone knew him.
How many records do you think he sold in America?
In America, 6.
Born in the troubled city.
Well, it's still a bit of a mystery how the first copy of Cold Fact actually came to South Africa, but it spread very quickly. To many of us South Africans, he was the soundtrack to our lives.
Everybody I knew had his records.
That you can't
The message it had was be anti-establishment. Really, the first opposition to apartheid, they'll tell you that they were influenced by Rodriguez.
But nobody knew anything about him. He was a mystery.
He didn't tour there because he had no clue he was big there. Because again, it was all closed off. He wasn't allowed. There was no one telling anyone that he was big there. So his records, all 2 of them, became huge hits. And it became the songs of the people, basically. It was the soundtrack of South Africa for that time period. And so 2 guys in South Africa decided, we gotta find out what happened to him, because as far as they knew, he killed himself.
Then we found out that he had committed suicide.
And a lot of people have different versions of the story.
He set himself alight on stage.
He reached down and pulled up a gun. I thought it'd make a good story. Find out how Rodriguez died.
There was nothing on the record to tell us who he was or where he was from. So we started looking quite deeply at the lyrics.
I met a girl in Dearborn.
We found him, we found him.
These are the days of miracles and wonder.
I heard he did a little construction work.
He was really doing the work that no one else wanted to do.
Turns out he's still living in Detroit, has a bunch of kids. He's an older guy now, he works construction, and he hasn't really told anyone that he did a lot of music when he was younger. And he gets to go tour in South Africa. This is an incredible film. It's really powerful and it gives you a good feeling. And the music is really, really well done. This guy could actually play. He would have been huge if he just could have caught on. It's one of those, if this had happened and this had happened differently, we'd talk about him like Bob Dylan, but because it didn't, we didn't know nothing about him. I can't recommend this movie enough. It's 5 out of 5 beards. It is on Netflix. Go check it out. Music is very powerful. That's why music is used in movies so much. And they can actually cheat you by making you think a movie's better than it is by having awesome music in it. But in this case, these 3 movies all look at music and kind of show how powerful it can be. And you have certain memories, and certain memories automatically go back to songs. These 3 movies tap into that really, really well. They deserve a chance to be seen, and you guys should go see them. Do yourself a favor, check these films out. So, are you going to check out any of these movies? Are you going to watch any of these? Have you listened to any of these? Or are you super cool and have already watched them? Let me know. And share and subscribe and like and all that fun stuff. And until next time, stay bearded, everyone. You've been watching The Beard Movie Guy. He loves the music. It's in his soul. Sorry, I had to do that. Subscribe and make us day. And as always, your Tom Safely.